Conversation 1. Arjuna's Despair. Dhritarashtra said, "On the field of Dharma, on the sacred field of Kuru, my sons and the sons of Pandu have gathered, desiring to battle. What are they doing, O Sanjaya?" Sanjaya replied, "Raja Duryodhana, seeing the army Pandavas drawn up for battle, approached his guru Drona and said, 'Behold, O master, this powerful army of the sons of Pandu, arrayed for battle by the son of Drupada, your talented disciple. Here are the mighty archers, equal to Bhima and Arjuna in battle, Duryodhana and Virata and Drupada on a great chariot. Drishtaketu, Chekitana, valorous Raja of Kashi Purujit, Kuntipoja, and Shaivya, the heroes among men. Mighty Yudhamanyu, fearless Uttamoja, the son of Saubhadra, and the sons of Draupadi, all on great chariots. Know also our chiefs, O best of twice-born, the leaders of my army. These are their names: yourself, Bhishma, victorious Karna and Kripa, Ashvatthama, Vikarna, and the son of Samadatta, and many other heroes who are ready to lay down their lives for me, all equipped with diverse weapons. All are experienced warriors. Our forces seem to me insufficient, though they are commanded by Bhishma, and theirs seem to me sufficient, though they are commanded by Bhima. Therefore, let everyone standing in his place in troops, and you, chiefs, guard Bhishma. To inspirit him, the oldest of the Kurus, glorious Bhishma, blew his conch shell, which sounds like a roaring lion. Right away, conch shells and cymbals, drums and horns blared in response, producing a tumultuous noise. Then, seated in a great chariot, yoked to white horses, Madhava and Pandava blew their heavenly conch shells. Hrishikesha blew the Panchajanya. Hrishikesha blew the Panchajanya. Dhananjaya blew the Devadatta. And a man of great exploits, Vrikodara, blew his conch shell, the Poundra. King Yudhishthira, the son of Kunti, blew the Anantavijaya. Nakula blew Sughosa, and Sahadeva blew the Manipushpaka. And Kashiya, the great archer, and Shikhandi, the mighty warrior on the chariot, and invincible Drishtadyumna, Virata, and Satyaki, and Drupada and Draupadi sons, mighty armed son of Saubhadra, each of them blew their own conch shell, O Lord of the earth. And this terrible roar, filling the sky and the earth with thunder, shatters the hearts of Dhritarashtra's sons. Then, seeing the sons, Dhritarashtra, ready to begin the battle, Pandava, whose helmet bore the image of a monkey, lifted his bow, and addressed Hrishikesha, the lord of the earth, with such words: "My chariot is between the two armies. O infallible one, I see here warriors gathered for battle, whom I must combat. I see those anxious to please the wicked son of Dhritarashtra, Sanjaya said, O Bharata, addressed thus by Arjuna, Hrishikesha stopped their magnificent chariot between the two armies, and pointing at Bhishma, Drona, and all other kings, said, Behold, O Partha, the Kurus assembled together. Then Partha saw, standing against each other, fathers and grandfathers, gurus, uncles, cousins, sons, grandsons, and friends, fathers-in-law and comrades, separated into the hostile armies. Beholding all these arraying kinsmen, overcome with deep pity, Arjuna sadly said, O Krishna, as I see my kinsmen here eager to wage war, my limbs fail and my mouth is parched, my body quivers and my hair stands on end. Gandiva slips from my hand, and all my skin burns. I am unable to stand, and my mind whirls. I see evil omens, O Keshava, and do not expect any good from the slaughtering of my own kinsmen. O Krishna, I desire neither victory, nor kingdom, nor earthly pleasures. Of what avail for us is kingdom, O Govinda? Of what avail are earthly pleasures, or the life itself? Those for whose sake we seek kingdom, joy, and worldly pleasures stand here in battle, having renounced their wealth and life. Teachers, fathers, sons, grandfathers, uncles, fathers-in-law, grandsons, brothers-in-law, and other relatives. I do not want to kill them, even though I am to be killed, O Madhusudana. I do not want to, even if it would give me the power over the 3 worlds. How am I to do it for the sake of earthly rule? What satisfaction can it be for us in killing these sons of Dhritarashtra, O Janardana? By killing these rebels, we will commit a great sin. We should not kill the sons of Dhritarashtra, our kinsmen. How can we be happy after killing our own kinsmen, O Madhava? Even if their minds, overcome by greed, perceive no evil in destroying the family grounds and in treachery to friends, then why should we, who see clearly the evil of such destruction, commit this act of sin, O Janardana? With the destruction of the family perish the age-old traditions, and when the virtue is lost, vice overcomes the entire family. Krishna, when vice prevails, women of families become unchaste. The debauchery of women leads to mixture of varnas. The mixture of the varnas ensures hell both for the destroyers of the family and for the family itself, since the souls of the ancestors languish because of lack of offerings of rice and water. By the sin of these family destroyers, who caused the intermixture of the varnas, the ancient caste and family virtues are ruined too. We have heard, O Janardana, that those who destroy the family traditions go forever to hell. Alas, out of desire to rule the kingdom, we are ready to commit a great sin, to kill our own kinsmen. Much better it would be to me to be killed unarmed and unresisting in the battle by the Dhritarashtra's sons. Sanjaya said. Having said this on the battlefield, Arjuna sat down in his chariot, overwhelmed with sorrow. He dropped his bow and arrows. Thus, in the Upanishads of the blessed Bhagavad Gita, the science of eternal, the scripture of yoga, says the first conversation between Sri Krishna and Arjuna, entitled Arjuna's Despair. Conversation 2. Sankhya Yoga. Sanjaya said, To him who was overwhelmed with sorrow and despair, whose eyes were flowing with tears, Madhusudana said, "Whence has come over you, in this crucial moment, such shameful, unbecoming to an Aryan despair, which blocks the gate to paradise, O Arjuna? Do not yield to feebleness, O Partha. Cast off this miserable faint-heartedness, O Parantapa, and arise." Arjuna said, "O Madhusudana, how can I attack with arrows Bhishma and Drona, they who deserve the deepest reverence, O conqueror of enemies? Verily, it is better to live on alms as a beggar than to kill these great gurus. If I kill these highly esteemed gurus, then all my food will be stained with their blood. I do not know what is better, to be conquered or to conquer them who stand against us, the sons of Dhritarashtra. Having killed them, we will not wish to live. My heart is full of sorrow, my mind is perplexed, I am confused about my duty. I beseech you, tell me certainly what is better. I am your disciple and ask you, please instruct me. The sorrow is shivering my senses, and I know nothing that can dispel it, neither attainment of the highest power on the earth, nor even lordship over the gods." Sanjaya said, Having said this to Hrishikesha, Gudakesha, the destroyer of enemies, uttered, "Govinda, I will not fight," and became silent. Stationed in between the two armies, Hrishikesha, with a smile, told despondent Arjuna, "You are mourning for that which should not be mourned for, though you have said the words of wisdom. But the wise bemoans neither the living nor the dead. For, verily, never there was a time when I or you or these kings did not exist, and, verily, we will not cease to exist in the future. Just as a soul dwelling in a body goes through childhood, maturity, and old age, so it leaves one body and enters another. The strong one does not grieve about this. The contact with matter, O Kaunteya, produces feelings of heat and cold, of pleasure and pain. These feelings are transient, they come and go. Endure them with fortitude, O Bharata. The one who is unmoved by them, O greatest of men, who remains sober and unfaltering in joy and in trouble, such one is able to attain immortality. Know that the transient, impermanent, has no true existence, and the eternal, imperishable, never ceases to exist. This is discerned by those who have perceived the essence of things and see the truth. Know that no one can destroy him who pervades the entire universe. No one can bring him to death. That eternal and imperishable is beyond the control of anyone. Only the body of an embodied soul is perishable, but the soul itself is eternal and indestructible. Fight, therefore, O Bharata. They who think that they can kill, and they who think that they can be killed are mistaken. Man can neither kill nor can be killed. Man neither appears nor disappears. Having once come into being, man never ceases to be. Man, an immortal soul, does not perish when the body is destroyed. The one who knows that man is an imperishable, eternal, unborn, and immortal soul, how can such one kill or be killed? As one throws off worn-out clothes and puts on others that are new, so a soul throws off worn-out bodies and enters new ones. Weapons cannot cut a soul, fire cannot burn it, water cannot wet it, nor can wind wither it. Nothing can cut, burn, wet, or wither a soul. Non-cuttable, non-flammable, non-wettable, non-dryable. A soul, non-incarnate, is said to be unmanifest, formless, and imperishable. Therefore, knowing this, you should not grieve. Even if you thought that a soul gets born and dies again and again, even then, O mighty-armed, you should not grieve. Verily, death is predestinated for the born one, and birth is unavoidable for the one who has died. Do not grieve over what is inevitable. All beings are unmanifest before the material manifestation, and unmanifest after. They are manifest only in the middle, O Bharata. What is the reason to grieve then? Some think about soul as a wonder, others speak of it as a wonder, and there are those who, having come to know about it, cannot understand what it means. The incarnate can never be killed, O Bharata. Therefore, do not mourn any killed creature. And thinking of your own Dharma, you should not waver, O Arjuna. Verily, for a kshatriya, there is nothing more desirable than a righteous war. Lucky are those kshatriyas, O Bharata, to whose lot falls such a battle. It is like an open gate to heaven. But if you withdraw now from this righteous battle, refusing your Dharma and your honor, then you will incur sin. All people will know about your eternal disgrace, and for the glorious one, disgrace is worse than death. The great warriors on chariots will think that fear made you flee from the battlefield, and you, whom they esteemed so much, will be despised by them. Your enemies will say many mean words slandering your valor. What is more painful? Killed, you will go to paradise. Winner, you will enjoy the earth. Arise therefore, O Kaunteya, and be ready to fight. Regarding alike joy and sorrow, success and failure, victory and defeat, enter this battle. Thus you will avoid sin. What I have declared to you is the teachings of Sankhya about consciousness. Now listen how you can know this through Buddhi Yoga. By means of Buddhi, O Partha, you can break the bondage of karma. On the path of this yoga, there is no loss. Even a little advancement on this path saves one from great danger. The will of the resolute is firmly directed towards this purpose. The impulses of irresolute, one branch endlessly. O joy of the Kurus! O Partha, the unwise who hold to the letter of the Vedas utter flowery words declaring that beyond that there is nothing else. They are full of desires. Their highest purpose is paradise. Their concern is a good reincarnation. All their actions and rituals are aimed only at getting pleasure and power. Those who are attached to pleasure and power, who are bound by this, are not capable for resolute determination aimed at samadhi. The Vedas teach about the three gunas. Transcend these gunas, O Arjuna. Be free from the duality. Always live in harmony, seeking not worldly possessions, remaining ever established in the Atman. To the one who has cognized Brahman, the Vedas are as useful as a pond in a flooded area. Regard only the work and not the reward for it. Let your motive for actions be not the profits from them. Yet do not indulge in indolence. Renouncing the attachment to the reward for your actions, become even-minded in success and failure. O Dhananjaya, such equanimity is characteristic of yoga. Ceaselessly casting away all vain activity with the help of Buddhi Yoga, learn to control yourself as a consciousness. Miserable are those who act only for the sake of getting a reward for their deeds. They who work with the consciousness are not subjected any more to good or bad karmic consequences of their activity. Therefore, devote yourself to yoga. Yoga is the art of action. The wise devoted to work with the consciousness free themselves from the law of karma and from the necessity to incarnate again. They attain full liberation from suffering. When you as a consciousness become free from the net of illusion, then you will be indifferent to the things you have heard and those yet to be heard. When you transcend the charm of the Vedas and become established in the peace of samadhi, then you will attain yoga. Arjuna said, "What is the mark of man whose thoughts are calmed and who is established in samadhi, O Kashava? How does such a person talk, walk, and sit?" Lord Krishna said, "The one who has renounced all sensual cravings, and having gone deeply into the Atman, found satisfaction in the Atman, becomes steadfast in wisdom. The one whose mind is calm amidst sorrows, unmoved amidst pleasures, fear, and anger, the one who is steadfast in this is called Muni. The one who is attached to nothing earthly, who, facing pleasant and unpleasant things, neither rejoices nor recoils, such one is established in the true knowledge. Taking the indriyas off the earthly objects, like a tortoise withdrawing its limbs and head into its shell, such one attains the true understanding. The one who walks the path of detachment becomes free from the objects of the senses, but not from the taste for the objects. But even the taste for them vanishes in the one who has cognized the Supreme. O Kaunteya, agitated indriyas can distract the mind even of a wise person who tries to control them. Having tamed the indriyas, this person should enter into harmony and have me as the highest aim. Only the one who controls the indriyas has the true understanding. But if one comes back in the mind to the earthly objects, then inevitably an attachment to them arises. This attachment leads to the desire to possess these objects, and the impossibility to satisfy this desire produces anger. Because of anger, the perception gets completely distorted. The distortion of perception causes the loss of memory, and the loss of memory leads to the loss of the energy of the consciousness. By losing the energy of the consciousness, man degrades. But the one who has conquered the indriyas, renounced attractions and distractions, and established oneself in the Atman, attains the inner purity. When the inner purity is attained, all sorrows disappear and the consciousness strengthens. The non-resolute cannot be of a developed consciousness. They have neither happiness nor peace, and without them is bliss possible. The reason of a person who yields to the pressure of passions gets carried away like a ship carried away by the storm. Therefore, O mighty armed one, the one whose indriyas are completely taken away from the earthly objects, has the true understanding. What is night for all beings for the wise Muni is the time for staying awake, and when others are awake, the night for the wise Muni comes. If man stays unmoved by sensual desires, as an ocean is unmoved by the rivers that flow into it, such man attains calm, and those who follow their desires can never find calm. The one who has renounced the desires to such an extent and goes forward free from passions, selfishness, and the feeling of I, such one attains calm. This is the state of Brahman, O Partha. The one who has attained it is never deluded. The one who has attained it is never deluded, and the one who achieves this state, even at the moment of death, attains the nirvana of Brahman. Thus, in the Upanishads of the blessed Bhagavad Gita, the science of eternal, the scripture of yoga says the second conversation between Sri Krishna and Arjuna, entitled Sankhya Yoga. Conversation 3. Karma Yoga. Arjuna said, "If you say, O Janardana, that the path of knowledge is superior to the path of action, then why do you encourage me to do such a terrible action? Your ambiguous words confuse me. Tell me certainly, how can I attain bliss?" Lord Krishna said, "There are two possibilities of development, as I have said already, O sinless one, the yoga of consideration and the yoga of right action. Man does not attain liberation from the chains of destiny by refusing action. By renunciation alone, one does not ascend to perfection. No one can stay truly actionless even for a moment, for the properties of Prakriti compel all to act. The one who has mastered control over the Indriyas, but still dreams about earthly objects, such one deludes oneself. Such a person can be likened to a hypocrite. But the one who has conquered the Indriyas and freely performs Karma Yoga deserves respect. Therefore, perform righteous actions, for action is better than inaction. Being idle, one cannot support even one's own body. Worldly people are enslaved by action if it is not performed as sacrifice. Perform your action as an offering to God, staying free from the attachment to everything worldly. O Kaunteya, God created humankind together with the law of sacrifice. He said at that, "Prosper through sacrificial deeds. Let it be desired by you. Satisfy the divine with your sacrificial deeds, and it will satisfy you. By acting for its sake, you will achieve the highest good. For the divine, satisfied with your sacrificial deeds, will grant you whatever you need in life. The one who receives gifts and gives no gifts in return is verily a thief. The righteous who live on the remains of their sacrificial gifts to God are liberated from sins. But those who are anxious only about their own food, they feed on sin. Thanks to the food, the bodies of creatures grow. The food arises from rain. The rain arises from sacrifice. Sacrifice is performance of right action. Know that the realization of people's destinies is performed by Brahman, and Brahman represents the Supreme. Omnipresent Brahman always supports sacrificial behavior in people. The one who does not follow this law of sacrifice requital, whose life therefore is full of sin, who lives following only sensual pleasures, such one lives in vain, O Partha. Only they who have found joy and peace in the Atman, and are happy in the Atman, are free from the earthly duties. They have no duties of doing or non-doing something in this world any more, and in no creature they seek patronage for realization of their purposes. Therefore, ceaselessly perform your duties without any expectation of reward. Verily, performing action, thus does man attain the Supreme. Verily, it is through such action that Janaka and others attained perfection. So, you too act so, remembering about the wholeness of the universe. What the best one is doing, the others are doing as well. People follow such an example. There is nothing, O Partha, in the three worlds that I am required to do or that I have not achieved. Yet I am constantly engaged in action. For if I had not been always acting, O Partha, then people everywhere would follow my example. The world would be destroyed if I had ceased to act. I would be the cause of mixture of the varnas and destruction of the nations. The unwise one acts out of selfishness, O Bharata. The wise one acts without selfishness for the good of others. The wise one should not confuse unwise people attached to worldly activity. The wise one should rather try to bring such activity into harmony with me. All actions arise from the three gunas, but the one deluded by conceit thinks, I am the doer. The one who knows the essence of discrimination of actions according to the gunas, and remembers that gunas move around in gunas, such one gets liberated from worldly activity. People deluded by the gunas are attached to the matters of these gunas. The wise one does not disturb such people whose understanding is not complete yet, and who are lazy. Let me control all actions, and you, immersed into the Atman, calm, free from selfishness and conceit, fight, O Arjuna. They who steadily follow my teachings, who are full of devotion and free from envy, they can never be bound by their deeds. And those insane who revile my teachings and do not follow them, who are devoid of understanding, know that they are doomed. Wise people seek to live in harmony with the world of Prakriti. All incarnate creatures are included in it. What can opposition to Prakriti give? Attraction and distraction to earthly objects depend on the distribution of indriyas, yield neither to the former nor to the latter. Verily, these states are obstacles on the path. To perform one's own duties, even very modest ones, is better than to perform others' duties, even the grandest ones. It is better to end the incarnation performing one's own dharma. The dharma of others is full of danger. Arjuna said, What drives people to commit sin against their own will, O Vaishnaja? Truly, it looks as if they are impelled by some unknown force. Lord Krishna said, It is sexual passion, it is anger, scions of the insatiable, sinful guna rajas. Study them, one's greatest enemies on the earth. As a flame can be veiled by smoke, as a mirror can be covered by dust, as an embryo is enveloped in the amnion, even so everything in the world is enshrouded in passions. The wisdom too is enshrouded by this eternal enemy of wisdom, by one's worldly desires, which are insatiable as flame. The indriyas, including the mind and buddhi, are the field of its action. Through them, having enshrouded the wisdom, it deludes the indweller of the body. Therefore, controlling your indriyas, O best of the Bharatas, restrain this source of sin, the foe of knowledge and the destroyer of wisdom. They say that control over the indriyas is good. The highest of the Indriyas are the Indriyas of the mind, but the developed consciousness is superior to the mind, and superior to a developed individual human consciousness is he. Knowing that he is superior to the developed human consciousness, and being established in the Atman, destroy, O mighty armed, this enemy in the form of the hard-to-conquer desire of earthly boons. Thus, in the Upanishads of the blessed Bhagavad Gita, the science of eternal, the scripture of yoga, says the third conversation between Sri Krishna and Arjuna, entitled Karma Yoga. Conversation 4. Yoga of Wisdom. Lord Krishna said, I taught this eternal yoga to Vivasvan. Vivasvan passed it to Manu. Manu related it to Ikshvaku. In this way, the king's sages learned it from each other. But with time, yoga on the earth has deteriorated, O Parantapa. It is the same ancient yoga that I have imparted to you, for you are devoted to me. You are my friend. In this yoga, the highest mystery is revealed. Arjuna said, You were born later. Vivasvan was born before. How should I understand that you were the first who revealed these teachings? Lord Krishna said, You and me had many births in the past, O Arjuna. I know all of them, but you do not know any of yours, O Parantapa. Though I am the eternal, imperishable Atman, though I am Ishvara, but inside Prakriti controlled by me, I manifest myself through my Maya. When there is a decline of righteousness on the earth, O Bharata, and unrighteousness begins to prevail, then I manifest myself. For the sake of saving good people, and defeating those who do evil, for restoring the Dharma, I manifest myself thus from age to age. The one who has really cognized the essence of my miraculous manifestations does not get born again after leaving the body, but merges with me, O Arjuna. Many of those who have freed themselves from false attachments, fear and anger, who have cognized my beingness and become purified in the fire of wisdom, attain great love for me. In whatever way people come to me, in the same way I receive them, for the paths by which people come to me from all sides are my paths, O Partha. Those seeking success in earthly activities worship gods. They can quickly achieve success in the world of matter from such actions. In accordance with the gunas and variants of people's activity, I established the 4 varnas. Know that I am the creator of them, though I do not act and stay uninvolved in them. Actions do not affect me, and a reward for actions does not attract me. The one who knows me thus does not get entangled in the karmic consequences of one's own actions. Knowing this, the sages who had attained the liberation performed actions. So you perform actions having examples of your predecessors. What is action and what is non-action? Even the reasonable are confused by this. I am going to explain it to you, so that you may become free from confusion. One should understand that there are necessary action, vain action, and non-action. They who see non-action in activity and action in inactivity are truly conscious, and even being involved in action among others, such people remain free. they whose undertakings are free from the worldly inclinations and pursuits of personal profit, it is said about them that their deeds are purified by the fire of the developed consciousness. Pursuing not personal profit, always being content, seeking not support from anyone, they are in non-action, though they act constantly, desiring not benefit for themselves, surrendering their thoughts to the Atman, renouncing the feeling, "This is mine," performing their dharmas, they do not stain their destinies. Since they are satisfied with whatever comes to them, free from duality, devoid of envy, even-minded in success and failure, their actions do not fetter them, even when they act. They who have renounced attachments to the material and become free from the worldly passions, whose thoughts are established in wisdom, who perform actions as sacrificial offerings to God, all their actions merge with the harmony of the entire creation. The life of Brahman is sacrificial. Brahman is a sacrifice coming in a fiery appearance. One can attain Brahman only with his help. At that, one comes to Samadhi. Some yogis believe that they perform sacrifice by worshipping gods. Others perform sacrificial service, being the Brahmanic fire. Some sacrifice their hearing and other organs of sense for the sake of self-control. Others sacrifice sound and other objects of sense that excite the indriyas. Others yet, aspiring to wisdom, burn in the fire of the Atman all unnecessary activity of the indriyas and the incoming energies, striving thus to gain wisdom. Others sacrifice the property, or perform sacrifice through asceticism, or through religious rituals, or through diligence in sciences, in learning, and through observance of austere vows. Others expose the energy outgoing from the body to the incoming energy, or the incoming energy to the outgoing one. Others move the outgoing and the incoming energies performing pranayama. All they, though having different appearance, yet understanding the essence of sacrifice, purify their destinies in the process of such activity. Those partaking of the nectar of the remnants of their offerings approach the abode of Brahman. This world is not for the one who does not sacrifice, say nothing of the bliss of the next world, O best of the Kurus. The offerings to Brahman are numerous and diverse. Know that all they are born of action. Having known this, you will become free. Superior to all other sacrifices is the sacrifice of wisdom. O destroyer of enemies, all actions, O Partha, become perfect when they are performed by the wise. Therefore, gain wisdom through devotion, inquiry, and service. Sages and clairvoyants who perceive the essence of things will impart this to you. And having known this, you will not be confused any more, O Pandava, for then you will see all incarnate beings in the world of Maya, from the world of the Atman. And even if you were the most sinful one, even then you could cross the sea of suffering on the boat of this wisdom. As fire turns firewood into ashes, so does the fire of wisdom burns all false actions to ashes. There is no purifier better than wisdom in this world. With its help, the one skilled in yoga attains enlightenment in the Atman in due course. The one full of faith gains wisdom. The one controlling the indriyas gains it too. Having achieved wisdom, they quickly attain the higher worlds. But the ignorant, devoid of faith, irresolute, go to destruction. For doubting ones, there is neither this world, nor the next one, nor happiness. The one who has abandoned false action with the help of yoga, who has removed all doubts with the help of wisdom, who has become established in the Atman, cannot be bound by action. O Dhananjaya! Therefore, cutting the doubts born of ignorance with the sword of Atman's wisdom, stay in yoga, O Bharata. Thus, in the Upanishads of the blessed Bhagavad Gita, the science of eternal, the scripture of yoga, says the fourth conversation between Sri Krishna and Arjuna, entitled Yoga of Wisdom. Conversation 5. Yoga of Detachment. Arjuna said, You praise sannyasa, O Krishna, as well as yoga. Which of these two should I choose? Tell me for certain. Lord Krishna said, Both sannyasa and karma yoga will bring you to the highest good, but verily, karma yoga is preferable. Know that the true sannyasi is the one who hates no one, and does not desire anything worldly. Free from duality, almighty armed, such one easily breaks free from the bondage. Also, they are not sages, but children who speak about Sankhya, and yoga as about something different. Those zealous even in one of them gain the fruits of both. The level of advancement achieved by the followers of Sankhya is achieved by yogis as well. The one who sees that Sankhya and yoga are one in essence is right. But without yoga, O mighty armed, it is hard to achieve sannyasa. On the other hand, the wise directed by yoga attain Brahman quickly. The one who is persevering in yoga, who has cleared thus the path to the Atman and established oneself in it, who has conquered the Indriyas, who has cognized oneness of the Atmans of all beings, such one remains steady even when acting. I do not perform unnecessary actions. This should know the one who has attained harmony and cognized the truth when looking, hearing, smelling, touching, eating, moving, sleeping, breathing, speaking, giving, receiving, opening and closing the eyes. Such one should be aware. It is only the Indriyas moving among objects. The one who dedicates all actions to Brahman, performing them without any attachment, will never be stained with sin, as lotus's leaves cannot be wetted with water. Having renounced attachments to actions in the world of matter and to their fruits, a yogi acts by the body, consciousness, mind, and other indriyas for the sake of cognition of his or her own Atman. The one who has become steady and has renounced the desire of reward for actions attains perfect peace. The unsteady one, driven by worldly desires and attached to the reward, is fettered. Having renounced unnecessary actions with the mind, the embodied one dwells evenly in this city of 9 gates, neither acting nor coercing anyone to act. Neither attitude to objects as to one's own property, nor vain activity of people, nor attachments to its fruits, are created by the Lord of the world. All this is created by the life self-developing in the matter. The Lord is not responsible for the deeds of people, be they bad or good. This wisdom is covered by ignorance that overcame people. But to the one who has cognized the Atman and has destroyed thus the ignorance, This wisdom, shining like the sun, reveals the Supreme. The one who has cognized oneself as a Buddhi, who has associated oneself with the Atman, who is devoted only to the Lord and takes refuge in Him, such one, purified by salvational wisdom, goes to the liberation. The wise look equally upon all, be it a Brahman endowed with knowledge and humility, an elephant, a cow, a dog, or even a man eating a dog. Here on the earth, birth and death are conquered by the one whose mind is appeased. Brahman is devoid of sin and exists in calm. Therefore, those living in calm cognize Brahman. Being the calmed pure consciousness, the one who has cognized Brahman and established oneself in Brahman, neither rejoices receiving that which is pleasant, nor grieves receiving that which is unpleasant. The one who is not attached to satisfaction of the senses by outer things, and who finds joy in the Atman, such one, upon reaching unity with Brahman, partakes of the eternal bliss. Joys arising from contacts with material objects are verily the source of suffering, for all they begin and end. O Kaunteya, the wise one finds joy not in them. The one who here on the earth, before liberation from the body, can resist the power of worldly attractions and anger, such one achieves harmony and becomes a happy person. The one who is happy within, who finds joy not in the outer, who is illuminated by love within, such a yogi is capable of cognizing the essence of Brahman and attaining the nirvana in Brahman. The nirvana in Brahman is attained by those rishis who have gotten rid of vices, become free from duality, cognized the Atman, and dedicated themselves to the good of all. Free from worldly attractions and anger, dedicated to spiritual pursuits, having subdued the mind and having cognized the Atman, they attain the nirvana in Brahman. Taking the indriyas off everything worldly, directing all the vision inside, paying attention to the incoming and outgoing energies, controlling the indriyas, mind and consciousness, regarding liberation as the main aim, renouncing worldly attractions, fear and anger, man attains full freedom. Knowing me as great Ishvara, who rejoices at sacrificial deeds and spiritual feats, and who is the benefactor of all living beings, such a person attains full contentment. Thus, in the Upanishads of the blessed Bhagavad Gita, the science of eternal, the scripture of yoga, says the fifth conversation between Sri Krishna and Arjuna, entitled Yoga of Detachment.